Hello and welcome to the Minor League Cricket Live. We're here back from Dallas, Nate. We covered the entire Super 8. And Nate, how about this? That final, that Super 8 was unbelievable. And I think we had just such one of the best times that I think I've had in minor league cricket.
Oh, I had a blast. Like you said, and we got to be with good commentators,
Yeah.
a lot of good people. We got to see Dave Agnew, which is always fun.
Always fun. Dave, I know you're watching. Pat, yeah.
Josh Taskin was Zubin.
Zubin
joined me on commentary. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think a highlight for me was doing comms with Brian, with
Faisal, with
Lenny. Lenny being there, it was incredible.
Yeah, it was an incredible experience, and the games itself were incredible. Before we got there, we did miss week 5 because week 5 came straight into the playoffs. I was traveling. You were about to start to travel. So we said, you know what? We're going to wait a week. We're going to come back ready to go. Let's jump back into week 5. We're not going to go through the highlights because we all know what's happened to this point. But we want to announce some awards because we always do that. We feel like it is an important thing to recognize some of the star players for their contributions. And I want to start with the emerging player of the week. And Nate, you were raving about this guy the entire time during really when we were supposed to record for week 5. You said we have to do something about him. Who is your emerging player of the week?
Kwame Patton Jr.
There you go. Week 5 emerging player of the week, Kwame Patton Jr. Why is that, Nate Hayes?
He was fantastic. He scored 65 from 42 not out for the NYC Titans in a victory over the New England Eagles. I've heard a lot about him. I've heard about him from Gurjit Singh, for example. A lot of very good players rate him really highly, and he came through for sure.
Oh, he was so good. Bats from the left as well, and I think he had a dry spell last season and this season. You can just see him start to get more confident. He's done the under-19 cycle as well, so that's cool to see him start to continue to rise through the ranks. Now let's move into our Atlantic player of the week. For that, Nate, where do we go with?
Well, for the Atlantic, we got Sid Matani. If it wasn't for him, if it wasn't for his spell, New Jersey Stallions don't even get into the Super 8s. He took 3 massive wickets versus the Cavaliers. He's always been great against the lefties. You need an off spinner in the East. You need an off spinner in the Atlantic, pretty much. And Sid Matani, as a specialist off spinner, got them into the playoffs.
Yeah, he absolutely did. He was phenomenal, and even into the playoffs, he was really good. And he's kind of bounced all over the place. Started out on the West Coast, that was down in the South, and now has a home up there in New Jersey. And you pair him in such a Mailaparapu, that's a dangerous spin attack.
You got him from both sides there, but Sid, every season, at least one weekend, he puts his hand up and he has a dominant weekend.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. So congratulations, Sid Matani, our Atlantic Player of the Week for Week 5. Now moving into the Pacific Conference. Nate Hayes, who was the man from the Pacific?
This was a tough one because there were a lot of good performers.
There always is, it feels.
But Anthony Bramble, he got a century versus Golden State Grizzlies. Yes, neither of the teams made the playoffs, but Bramble came big. He's a phenomenal talent. He's been all over the country. Talking about people who played all over the country. He's played in the East. He's played in the West.
Yeah.
But Bramble is phenomenal.
He's been phenomenal. And I think, because we're having such a hard time picking the emerging, right? There's Adam Kahn just always pushes the needle there. We've Pranavjit Padiam has been close a couple of times, and then with the Atlantic, Mario Laban's been in the conversation.
Yeah.
In the West, we've seen Sujit Gowda be in it, Satya Krishnamurti, Rushil Agarkar. I mean, there's just guys who you feel, man, they could get every freaking week, but it just goes to speak to the quality of minor league cricket at the moment.
Yeah, Rahul Jariwala, Pranay Surrey out in the West.
Yeah.
They keep just missing out, and it's been a great year.
It's been a great year indeed. And all roads led to Dallas, to Grand Prairie for those Super 8s, which were an absolute blast. It was all played at Grand Prairie, so a lot of work put on Dave Agnew and his staff, but we'll get to them later. What I want to talk about now is that we had 4 days of 3-a-day games. 3 games a day for 4 consecutive days, all leading to the grand final. Let's start with day 1 of those Super 8s. Nate, we started with the Seattle Thunderbolts taking on the Baltimore Royals and what proved to be game 1, and it was pretty close back and forth, but the Royals were able to really manufacture runs, put themselves ahead of the notch. What really impressed you from Baltimore in that match?
Well, it was Sherrod Lumba's 61 from 47 that really put things away for Baltimore, chasing it down with a ball to spare. 146 was the first inning score.
Yeah.
With Seattle getting bowled out, they would have loved to have those 9 balls to score with. But Baltimore bats deep. you need to go the full 20 for sure, and you need to put up runs.
And it was just the first of many runs for sure at Lumber. Going into the second day of day one, the Morrisville Raptors took on the East Bay Blazers, and early wins are important, and East Bay got it done, Nate.
Yeah, East Bay did get it done, and they made up that net run rate difference that Baltimore got in the first game by chasing down 144. They chased it down to 17.3, and Suja Gowda is the reason why, scoring 77 from 44 balls.
Yeah, he was just phenomenal, really throughout the whole season, and then he carried that form into day one. A lot of pressure was on him and Sanjay Krishnamurthy. Moving on to the last game of day one, under the lights, you saw the Dallas Exportia Giants come into the attack against the New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers. Nate, again, another game where wins early were going to matter. Who was really impressive to you?
Well, this is one of the games that I think highlighted one of the wonderful things about this particular Super 8, where you had Central teams playing against East teams playing, West teams playing against South teams, etc. Everybody played everybody in this, and this was probably the first game I think that really showed why that's so fantastic, with the New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers putting up 160 for 9 in their 20, and then the Exportia Giants falling just shy of that with 154. Showan Rajani was absolutely terrific as he tends to be. 52 from 35 and 3 wickets for 18, but it still wasn't enough to overcome the New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers.
Yeah, the Jersey Somerset Cavaliers just always seem to play so good at Grand Prairie, and it's not the whole team. You know, they have low patches, but to me, it's Adil Bhakti just loves to bowl at that ground. He was phenomenal, and the groups in this were always interesting. Like you mentioned, you're combining teams, so you have the East 1, the Central 2, East 1, the West 1, Central 2, South 2. So it was really cool in that aspect of things. So we got to see, like you mentioned, the Cavaliers take on the Blazers. Not something you would have seen in years previous.
And this was once again going back to the South or the East playing the Central. One of the biggest things in the Central is the fast bowling.
Yeah,
you got to have it to beat the Central teams, and you got to have it in Dallas, especially. And this is why, as you mentioned, Adil Bhakti, huge for New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers, because in the East, it's a lot of spin. Spin dominates the East. And Adil Bhakti a lot of people will think of him as more of an all-rounder, but my goodness, does he bowl well here in Dallas, and pairing up with Najib Shah, who's just incredible.
Well, Najib didn't even get to bowl in that first game, too, which was really interesting. But Adil Bhakti also provided runs with the bat, too. We'll get more into that later. Let's go on to day 2 now, where the morning started off with an absolute thrashing of the other New Jersey side. And it didn't seem like it was going to go that way. New Jersey Stallions had the Chicago Kingsmen versus 126, bowled all out thanks to a Tejinder Singh 50. But then the Stallions get bowled out for 36 after having the best chance to beat the Kingsmen, Nate.
Right, you would think that you're in a great position here, again, on this Dallas wicket, on this Grand Prairie wicket, only having to chase 126. But I think the wicket was a little too quick for New Jersey in their first game. I think that the wickets in the East are a little slower. That was some shock playing against this particular fast bowling attack on these fast wickets. And it went to show with only 36 for 9.
Yeah, Hamad Azam, unbelievable. Took 3 wickets, gave up 1 singular run. Unbelievable that from Hamad Azam. Moving into the second game now, where we saw the Somerset Cavaliers take on the Raptors, and what really was a must-win for the Morrisville Raptors to keep their playoff hopes alive. What'd you like from the Raptors in that game?
Well, you got Rajnanan with a wicket for 14 and 28 from 22 balls. I mean, you had some great stuff from the youngsters as well for the Morrisville Raptors. But beating a team as good as New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers, I've just raved about them.
Right.
And the thing that the Raptors have is they have some very good experienced players, and they have some very good young players, up-and-coming young players. They really invest in their local young players, and you saw that shine in this particular game. Yeah,
Unsharai gets the wicket of Gurjit Singh, and then the wicket the next ball. Pretty brilliant. I think he'd want the Gurjit Singh ball back, but the next delivery was a Yorker right on the toes. Morrisville stays alive in the competition, and then moving into the day-night game, where it was the Exportia Giants taking on those East Bay Blazers. And the Blazers, yet again, led by their captain, scoring runs with today's match.
Yeah, Sanjay Krishnamurthy chasing down 142 in 16.5, 66 runs from 38 balls, which Sanjay goes. He goes big, he goes fast. He really values strike rate.
Yeah.
We've heard him talking about that. took a wicket for 26 runs on the other side of the ball. He's always going to do something.
Yeah, he's so good. Speaking of the strike rate portion, yeah, he did talk to us after the final. Was like, yeah, one thing I've tried to incorporate with my batting, and I don't think a lot of players look at, is strike rate. He values that. He thinks of that as a real important asset, especially in T20 cricket. And he tries to bat to a certain strike rate. And he's just in such a purple patch. He's like, I just want to keep playing while it's hot right now. While the iron's hot, I'm going to keep playing. And Sanjay Krishnamurti, keep playing cricket because, my God, is he phenomenal. US has got to be calling him pretty soon.
He's been phenomenal with the strike rate, and you said it. And one of the problems we tend to have with the younger players is they don't bat fast.
Right.
A lot of younger players will get you want to get the good instruction. You want to learn how to play, properly. But we play more T20 in this country than anywhere.
Yeah.
Than anything else. And I think probably more than most countries, almost every country. In fact, everyone who comes here says we play more T20 than they play in their country where they come from.
Right.
So I think that Sai's right on. I mean, Sanjay's right on.
Right on.
Sai too.
Sanjay Jayawardene has been on a tear as well. Well, that's day 2 of those Super 8s. And again, a day that the Kingsmen were able to manage to pull away from the rest of their group B, because of the net run rate advantage they picked up. And that was going to come into play. But let's get to day 3 before we talk about net run rate, because I promise we have plenty of net run rate talk that we're going to get to you. But in day 3, you see that on the graphic there, it was the Seattle Thunderbolts who got a chance to take a crack at the Stallions, and the Thunderbolts had to win, and they had to find a way to win big.
And they certainly did that. They won with 6.3, with 6.5 overs left.
Just ridiculous.
It's incredible. They chased down 142, and Surjit Nayak was a huge reason why. Absolutely exploding with 78 from 36. As you said, they had to score fast. They scored fast. They did their job, and it made the rest of the week so much more.
Oh my God, they had to do that to push Chicago, and it just felt like they were going to do that. Then it was the Blazers that took on the Somerset Cavaliers. And a game that the Morsel Raptors were hoping that the Somerset Cavaliers would win to give them a chance on the next day. If the Blazers had won this game, they guaranteed themselves qualification into that final. But if the Somerset Cavaliers win, the Raptors have an opportunity on the very next day. And Najaf Shah, on one leg, Nate, willed this team to victory.
Yeah, they did fantastic. 3 wickets for 17 runs with Najaf Shah. They did the job. They beat the East Bay Blazers. Now, they didn't do Morrisville any other favors than that. They beat them only by 2 runs.
Yeah, it was close in the end. Then we move on to the night game, where this was another interesting one. What I reckon was probably the 2 deepest teams in the league. The Baltimore Royals taking on the Chicago Kingsmen. Baltimore would have to win to keep themselves ahead of the game, to keep themselves in control of their own destiny. Chicago wins, and they control their destiny, a win, and they're in. This was a game that was so explosive with the bat, Nate. It was just so much fun to watch under the lights.
Under the lights at Grand Prairie this week, we saw a lot more runs.
Yeah.
And part of that was fielding was a little bit harder, a little bit more difficult. We saw more drops in the evening games. We saw great fielding throughout the whole tournament, but in the evening, we had some people struggling with the lights. Chicago Kingsmen came out and they just bashed it. They absolutely murdered the ball. 195 for 5. That was the most runs of the week. And Baltimore almost chased them down.
Yeah.
How much fun was it watching Mosin?
Mosin was terrific with the best, 46 off 19. But don't forget about the Chicago Kingsmen. Tajinder Singh found so many runs. He found 66 of his own. Hassan Khan came in at the end, hit 50 off just 21 deliveries. That was an incredible match.
Tajinder Singh, oh my goodness, what a season he's had. What a Super
8. Every innings was impactful from him in that Super 8. And we're just day 3 of the 4. But now let's set up the scene as we head to day 4. Through day 3, everything is still in play. Not a dead rubber match to be found. What do I mean by this? Well, the Raptors, if they win the morning game by enough margin, they could jump in to the first place and take the East Bay Blazers out. If Baltimore win their game big and Seattle wins it by just barely enough, then it would be Baltimore that goes through. If Seattle won their game against the Kingsmen big, they'd go through. And if Chicago won, they'd go through. Everything was in play. Let's take a look at how day 4 played out. We'll start out with the Morsel Raptors taking on the Dallas Euphoria Giants. And after losing the toss, having to bat first, the Raptors had to get off to a strong start. And they did just that with John Campbell's 26 runs in the first over, Nate.
Oh my gosh, this was so much fun to watch. This gave us an amazing start to the day.
Yeah, it was. He hit shots all over the ground, including those 3 boundaries you saw on your screen, and that continued into the second over, but Gaurav Patwal had the last laugh. He gets Campbell to sky one up, and it sits in the air for such a long time. Cover takes it simply in the end, and then wickets continue to fall. Rohan Fudke hit it straight to mid-off, alongside Wijaratne, the wicketkeeper, who found the same man. All hopes were resting on Christopher Barnwell, who just could chop it on. They were 53 for 4 to finish the power play. Sanjay Stanley battled 42 off 43 with wickets falling around him, but they only finished with 150 runs. They had to keep the Euphoria Giants down to 97 to make the final. And they started off great with 2 early wickets, one from Barnwell and the other from Keon Joseph. This was a game that looked like it was going to go the Raptors' direction, and Shubham Ranjane had to be the man they got, however, because he was in great nick, Nate.
He was absolutely fantastic. We got Anshi there. What a great week he had.
Yeah, Trevon Griffith capitalized, taking 2 back-to-back wickets, and then in the very next over after that tremendous catch, Untried with a silly point, gets his man. But Arjun Mahesh kept the ship steady, putting together his maiden half century, taking the final away from the Raptors, and then Batula, with some big hitting at the end, gave the win to the Euphoria Giants, and the Raptors just collapsed on a 10.
Arjun Mahesh, what an innings from him.
What an innings indeed. And the Royals, well, they had to make up that huge amount of net run rate against the Kingsmen. Well, the Stallions won the toss, chose to bat first, and Zaid Alam got in the action, getting early wickets. Aman Patel kept the Stallions going with nice shots, but he hit a wall with the leggy Mohammad Mohsin and Sarvjit Ladda, who picked up 3 wickets, Nate.
Oh, Ladda, man, he was on one. He was turning the ball a mile on this green wicket. It was crazy.
And it wasn't just Sarvjit Ladda after this phenomenal catch by Zaid Alam. He said, yeah, I can do it with the ball as well. He'll pick up his 4th of the day to close out the Stallions' innings. And then with the bat, they had to do it in 7.4 overs, and Sharad Lubba said, let me bat, boys.
They did. They had to do it in 7.4. They actually got it done in 7.1. So that put an awful lot of pressure on the next game.
It did. 46 off 19. He was so good. Sharad gave the Royals a puncher's chance. All eyes turned to the night, however, because the Kingsmen, well, they took on the Seattle Thunderbolts, and this was a match to watch. The Kingsmen had to win, and the Thunderbolts had to make it close. Well, Shadley Van Skalkvik back in from USA, takes 2 early wickets, and you think, man, things are going to go their way. But you found runs from Tajinder Singh. How good was he alongside Saad Ali, Nate?
Well, we just expected this. We came to expect it. Both of them were so consistently good that it was almost a guarantee that they were going to have a big innings every time they stepped out on the field.
No pun intended there. Saad Ali was smashing it all over. 80 off 49. Tajinder with 46 of his own. 183 for the Kingsmen. And then the Thunderbolts, well, it was simple. 14.4, they had to chase it down. Well, after a slow start, it was kind of the runs flowing in their direction from Sundar Shasam, who was able to find runs and picked up a half century of his own, Nate.
Somehow, he started off very, very slow. But my goodness, did this youngster really come through when it mattered.
But then he got run out, and then things didn't go their way. Jawan was able to find some boundaries, the captain, but it wouldn't last too long. This one raced away, but Ian Chalwan wouldn't be there much longer because Shadley Van Skalkvik goes in the next over, and then Chalwan was unable to get much runs of his own. And then Shishwant Kohli, he did find some runs at the end, but the Kingsmen handled it with ease, and they pick up their win, and they are off to the final. Nate Hayes, this was an unbelievable day of cricket. You and me got to call it live. How awesome was that?
It was incredible. Everything was in play until about 13, 14 overs in the chase. Everything was on the table. The Baltimore team was there. The whole team was there watching, cheering for Seattle as long as Seattle didn't chase it too soon. If Seattle had won the game, but somewhere between overs, I think 14-2 or something, 14-3 and 19-5. If they had won in that gap, then Baltimore would have gone through. Now, if Chicago had won on the last ball, if Chicago had lost on the last ball, Chicago would go through. Unless on that last ball it was a boundary, and then Baltimore would go through. It was a crazy day of cricket.
It was unbelievable. And again, that's what you wanted. That's what the Super 8 creates. It creates these little moments where everything can go their way, and it certainly did. Last year it did because we had an effective semifinal with the Somerset Cavaliers and the Atlanta Fire, and this year it was all 3 games basically played their own part in manufacturing what was going to be the final this season. The Kingsmen taking on the East Bay Blazers. You'd have to say that the Kingsmen walking in were favorites, but the Blazers, they had two aces up their sleeve in the form of Sujit Gowda and Sanjay Krishnamurti.
An interesting thing here, both teams, their top order was so hot that we didn't see a lot from the middle to in the tail all week. And we kind of felt like that with the fast bowling that Chicago had, that they had a little bit of an edge.
Yeah, you felt that way, but the fast bowling of the Thunder of the Blazers were equally as good. Carmine LaRue, Rushil Garkar, you have Noah Khan in there, and then Sanjay Krishnamurti and Vikas Mohan who can come in and bowl some spin. So this matchup felt very evenly poised.
And Arnav Iyer also
there you go.
filling in for Abhishek Parkar.
Yeah,
well, I think they missed with the bat quite a bit because he could really go big late.
They did. Well, let's see what happened in that final. Why don't we, Nate? Because, again, this was it. It all led to this moment, that entire great days of play, and it all came down to this. The East Bay Blazers took on the Kingsmen as they both looked to lift the trophy for the first time. Chicago changed it up, deciding to bowl first, but Sujit Gowda and Sadeep Ganesh were building an opening partnership, Nate.
Yeah, they certainly were, and this is exactly what East Bay needed.
Yeah, they did. What a beautiful shot there from Ganesh holding the pose. But Anwar Ali Khan, he gets in and gets Sujit Gowda, who felt like the most important cog in this Blazers machine. But Sanjay Krishnamurti walked in and played me my favorite shot of the day.
That was tremendous. He just got himself right in line with the ball and pounded it over there. Nice. Just punched it over.
Then he gets a stroke of luck because that's come off the bail and has found the boundary. Hamad Azam thought he got his captain counterpart, and luck seemed to go Sanjay Krishnamurti's way, but not the way of Sadeep Ganesh, because this brilliant take from Abhimanyu Bosro running about 25 yards to take that, like we said. Krishnamurti kept runs flowing with a couple lucky edges, but this big-time six against Hassan Khan.
He walloped it. At this point, East Bay's going real good. They have to be happy.
And then the edge. That's where things change because the captain goes, Hamad Azam strikes, but Usman Ghani got in and scored a rapid-fire runs on the board, scoring 35 off 16.
Yeah, but they needed this all week, and they finally got it from Ghani. What a job he did, almost to take the game away.
172 they finished with. It was early boundaries from Ramiz Raja, but Carmine LaRue got one to nip away after this boundary that just catches the outside edge. Take a look at this. Right here, boom, straight away to the wicketkeeper. Carmine LaRue's pumped, the big quick knows it, and then the big wicket Asad Ali.
Oh, he was fantastic, the left arm fast bowler. We talked a lot about it on the call.
Yeah, we did, and it was just runs after that. It was Pranav Balaji who just kept things going. Batted at 100 strike rate, batted within himself alongside Faraz Ali, but Vikash Mohan wasn't going to stay quiet for long, and all eyes turned to Tajinder Singh, and that's why. Pranav Balaji was doing his job at one end and allowed Tajinder Singh at the other end to find boundaries with ease.
It did. Balaji was fantastic. The youngster coming in to the game, he doesn't have a lot of experience at this level.
Yeah, he holds out there, but he did the job, sitting in the platform. Arnav Iyer, though, gets the big fish. See how much it means to Tajinder Singh. Hassan Khan walks, but Hamad Azam played the innings Hamad Azam was capable of and what we were waiting for.
It was those two paddle shots that really set the game away.
Yeah, it was. Again, the innovation there and then the sheer power. That was the biggest six, I think, of the entire weekend. Look how far that's gone. Clear out of the stadium. That edge for 4 will be the half century for Hamad Azam, becoming the 4th cricketer in minor league cricket finals history to pick one up, and he's looking to become the first captain to win back-to-back championships. Just a gentle arm rage. Rushil Agarkar, he gets the big wicket, but then gives up 4 to Anwar Ali Khan, setting the game for Tajinder Singh. 4 off the last ball, finishes it off in style, and the perfect season is completed for the Chicago Kingsmen.
They were fantastic. I think there was really no doubt that they were the best team in the league most of the season. I think they set themselves apart pretty early, and it was really a lot of it was their fast bowling, their batters. They have a lot of big name players up and down this lineup, but that fast bowling attack is special.
Oh, it was special, and again, you got to give it to Hamad Azam. What he was able to do in the last stage of the game, when you needed it most, that's what captains are for. That's what you needed him to do, and he did that to perfection. So good. Hamad Azam was the player of the match as well, and for good reason, because he takes 2 wickets, one of which was the captain Sanjay Krishnamurti, and then his 53 runs of his own.
Hamad Azam is building a reputation as a captain for winning big tournaments. He's done it for the last couple of years. He's a great captain, a great cricketer. We saw him win the MVP in 2021. This was, I think, his biggest moment since then.
Oh my God, I think it's right up there for sure, because again, this felt like a much more required thing from him. In last year's final, the whole team just kind of did their thing. Nash Kenjige was a big part of it. this year, a lot rested on Hamad Azam, and he delivered with both bat and ball. And Nate, just like that, 8 weeks have gone by, and the minor league is over.
It's unbelievable. It's finished. It's been. It has 8 weeks. Has it been that many?
I know. It's crazy to think about that. Or at least 8 games there were.
It was 8 games.
8 games,
I
not
think it
8
was
weeks.
6, 7 weeks.
6
weeks.
6 weeks, we'll call it. 6 weeks. But we had 8 games.
Felt like
finished
8.
out. Unbelievable. Nate, this was such a good year. I was so happy with everything that happened. I think the quality of cricket took a step forward. I think the quality of just everything a part of this league has taken leaps and bounds forward.
Oh, you can't complain about the quality of cricket at all. It's gotten better every year.
Yeah.
This year, I think it was better than ever.
Yeah, better than ever indeed. Speaking of better than ever, we got a top 10. We had so many plays. We probably could have done a top 10 for each of the Super 8 games. But we said, you know what? We're going to try to make a top 10 for the entirety of the Super 8 and the final. This is a tall task. We wanted to include context and brilliant moments. And I think we did our best. We're going to miss a couple. Sujit Nayak doesn't make our list.
It's unbelievable.
I'm going to say that right now. Sujit Nayak did not make our list after his brilliant blitz with the bat.
Somehow.
He's an honorable mention. If we had we might need to do a top 20 next year. All right. Enough of this setting it up for you guys to kind of soften the blow. Let's just get straight into it. Let's jump in to number 10. Because number 10, well, it's an unbelievable catch from Hamad Azam. That's number 10, Nate, one-handed.
Unbelievable. We were going nuts when this happened. That was incredible.
The stare, too. Then it was Shubham Ranjani at number 9, 80 off of 50 versus the East Bay Blazers, plus a 52 off 35 against the New Jersey Somerset Cavaliers, and then picks up 3 for 18 with the ball.
He was a one-man wrecking crew in this game. They really relied on him throughout the season and in this tournament especially.
He was so good. Again, that Raptors game, they had to get him out. Otherwise, there was no chance the Exported Giants were going to lose that game. He's just such a finisher, and he's going to be such a crew member in whatever Major League team he's going to be a part of next season, whether that's Seattle or whether he goes elsewhere. Moving into number 8, Najaf Shah, 3 for 17 on one leg.
Unreal. This was crazy. We didn't even think he was going to play in this game the way he was hobbling around.
Brilliant. Now on to number 7. This catch, Nate, runs 25 yards as Obimunyu Postwell and takes an absolute stunner.
Yeah, this happened right in front of us. You don't get as good of an idea of how good this was.
No, you don't. Speaking of not how good of idea, how good it was, Sherrod Lumba, 46 off 19 versus New Jersey Stallions, then 61 off 47 versus Thunderbolts, and this innings that you're seeing on your screen, that's the reason the Royals had a chance.
Absolutely. This was an incredible innings. This was so much fun to watch. It really put everything into doubt.
Number 5, how could we leave off Hamad Azam with the ball? 3 wickets for just 1 run.
Unreal. This was the game that New Jersey could have won too.
Well, speaking of the Chicago Kingsmen, this is not the first time to be on the list, not the last. Saad Ali, 80 off 49 versus Seattle Thunderbolts, the highest score of the weekend.
Yeah, they needed this. They needed this in this innings.
Sujit Gowda makes an appearance at number 3 with this brilliant take over his head. And then, don't worry, he chipped in with the bat. 44 off 34 versus the Exported Giants, and then 77 off of 54 versus the Raptors.
He was just unbelievable this whole season.
So good. Moving on to number 2, Satinder Singh. Well, in every innings, he was impactful. 46 off 34 against East Bay, then 42 off 25 versus Seattle Thunderbolts, 66 off 40 versus the Royals, and against the New Jersey Stallions, 59 off 41. I read that backwards just so you can get an aspect of how good he was all year long.
It's crazy that it's number 2. It's crazy that it's number 2 how good he was.
Well, Nate, we knew what number 1 had to be. It's Hamad Azam for his player of the match performance. We've seen this catch. Obimunyu Postwell, he takes it, but that's 1 wicket. There's wicket number 2, the big wicket of Sanjay Krishnamurthy, and then runs all over.
The second wicket was just enormous, but nothing compared to this. Did a couple of paddle shots there, kind of put the game away, and then immediately right after, he knew the fast bowler was going to be a fast bowler and go short.
Well, how about this? Hamad Azam does the job. How good was he? How good was this entire tournament? So happy to have been a part of it. So happy to see that final go the way it did. Brilliant stuff there from the entirety, Nate.
It was amazing. It was, I think, just we couldn't stop talking about how much fun we had. The days were long. We didn't care. We just wanted to be at the ground.
And the top 10, I think we did a decent job. Let us know in the comments, message us, and we'll see what we can do better on in the next season. Speaking of the top 10, Nate, let's get into some of the awards that we have, because we have the special privilege on our show to announce the official minor league players of the year for each division and for the entire league. That's a huge honor that was bestowed upon us from our very own Zubin.
Yeah, that I'm so excited. I couldn't wait to get to this part. I mean, all the other stuff was so much fun, but like this I feel so honored.
We're going to start with the South. The Southern Division Player of the Year. We went back and forth on this, Nate. This felt like the hardest one to come up with.
It was tough. There were a few guys in the mix, but I mean, statistically speaking, you could not get around Steven Taylor, who is trying to play his way back into this USA squad. And if he keeps this up, I don't know how he won't.
Yeah, 200s to his name just in 3 games. He played 5 innings, was able to beat, it was the highest run scorer down in the South on tough wickets. Emilio Ponzo was close. Sonny Patel was in the mix. But Steven Taylor's contributions, you felt, had to push him over the edge.
Yeah, I think it was a unanimous decision.
As close to it as it could be. Now let's move into the Eastern Division, where this one, very, very close. Again, Gurjit Singh's the reigning Eastern MVP, and it felt, could it go back to him? And it very nearly did, Nate, but he misses out. Our minor league 2024 East Player of the Year is Bhaskar Yadram.
Oh, he was near the top of the wickets and runs all season long, and it's the way that he affected every game he was in is even more so than the stats. Obviously, the stats are why he affected it,
Right.
but he really did affect every single game.
Yeah, no, he was brilliant. So good all year. Again, Gurjit Singh was a close second, and you just reckon with one score in the Super 8, Gurjit Singh might have been able to take over Bhaskar Yadram. Gurjit Singh had a great season.
He was
Bhaskar Yadram maybe had one of the greatest seasons in minor league history.
Yeah, I think he really did. It's amazing that his team didn't make the Super 8.
Yeah, they were very close to doing that as well. Let's move out into the West now. We're going to leave the Central alone. Let's go to the West, where this one was very close. You had Ruben Clinton, who, going into the Super 8s, led the league in runs. Sujit Gowda, who after the Super 8s leads the entirety of minor league cricket history in runs. But we didn't go with either one of them. The Player of the Year in 2024 from the Western Division is Sanjay Krishnamurthy.
He just keeps that streak that he had going from Major League. He carried it over to minor league. He was absolutely terrific, and he was a great leader of this team. I think he's just one of the brightest young stars in world cricket.
He struck the ball at a high rate, averaged an incredible margin, and was just kept finding runs. And he only batted 4 innings and was near the top of the runs, and then took wickets all year long with the ball. And like you said, his captaincy is just something that I don't think you can overshadow and overplay how important that is.
No, you can't. And the way that, like as we mentioned before, the way that he focuses on strike rate, because he knows he needs to, on that team, they need him to bat deep, but he knows he needs to have a high strike rate, and he does both.
Yeah, he does. Alrighty. Well, those are the official awards. Oh wait, we forgot one. The one that we needed to tell you about. The league MVP. A lot of names. Obviously, it's coming from the Central, right? We haven't announced Central Division. So the league MVP is the Central Division MVP. And it was very close. A lot of names on the board. And I don't know if it was as close as I'm trying to make it out to be.
I think it was really close.
It was. It was really close. I'm trying to build the suspense here. Here we go. The league MVP of 2024 is none other than Saad Ali. He led the Central Division in runs, backed it up in the Super 8s, and his team ends up champions.
He was absolutely terrific. He's going to, how is he not going to be in a major league team? He's going to earn himself a spot in a major league team this year. He's already been drafted once. I think we'll see him in the major leagues in major league this season.
I think I would have to agree with you, Nate. Again, he was drafted 1 year, didn't really get an opportunity, but he's played too good to not be there. He's reinvented himself. I think a lot of people thought of him as a one-dimensional cricketer. We mentioned strike rate. I think a lot of people had him at the 105 to 115 kind of guy. This season, he's striking it above 135. And that's a huge jump, and it's one that T20 cricket needs.
And I think him playing on a team that's so deep frees him up to bat the way that he needs to bat.
100%. Well, those are the official awards. I want to hear your thoughts about it, so let us know in the comments. Message us. But that's
one more.
That's the official awards. That's the official minor league cricket awards that they allowed us to present. But of course, we are Minor League Cricket Live. We do our own awards. The Emerging Player of the Year. That's an award that we and you have given out every single year, and we weren't going to miss that this season.
No.
And my God, when I tell you, this might have been the closest one of the list. Like outside the South and the West, maybe, this was the top, and I think it's probably right up there with the South and the West of how close this was. Before we get to the winner, Tell me about the guys right on the cusp.
Well, just behind the winner, we've got Adam Khan with 12
Adam,
wins.
Adam, I know you're watching. He was second for emerging player of the week, I think every week.
Yeah, and he's right in the top 3 or 4 for the emerging player of the year.
100%. He was right up there, 12 wickets to his name. Another guy was Viraj Desai, who took 16 wickets on the season.
16 wickets, and he had an incredible economy. Like he was absolutely brilliant. Rakhwindar was really good with 147 runs at a 49 average.
Akshtabe was great down in Atlanta on tough wickets, bowled very well. But there was one guy every game, consistent with the bat, and that you love to say his name. So I'm going to bestow the honor on you. Nate, tell us, who's our 2024 Emerging Player of the Year?
Skanda Rohit Sharma.
There you go. Skanda Rohit Sharma. Nate's been begging to say his name the entire time. He loves saying Skanda's name.
It's a fun name to say.
And he deserves it. Average, unbelievable this season, and he just was batting at such a high clip. He finished right amongst the top 5 run scorers in the West.
Yeah, he was like 5 or 6 or so. Yeah, and he was absolutely terrific with that San Diego team. You know, and I think he's put himself firmly in that role for that squad, and he's a big part of why that team looks so much better.
100%. I'd have to agree with you as well. That team looks so much better because of him, and he's allowed that team to play a little bit more freely. You can see that there's a lot of guys there that are able to kind of gel into their roles because Skanda Rohit Sharma is batting at his rate. And I think it's got to be really freeing for him to just be batting the way he knows he can. I think it's great to see the youngsters take a leg up and take that step forward. We'll see if Skanda will be eligible for the emerging player next year. I think he's hoping he won't be, right? Remember, if you get into a major league side or a USA side, you are no longer eligible for the emerging player of the week. So any of the guys that we've named, if they jump up, they're not eligible anymore.
Well, I'll name a few others that'll be in the running.
Sure.
Arya Garg.
There you go.
Well, he might get drafted too.
He might get drafted too. He might be out.
Same with Pranav Chandrapalayam.
Yeah, he was great.
And same with Kwame Patton Jr. Let's see if they'll be eligible.
There you go.
They were terrific.
That's probably our favorite award to hand out. That's our own personal favorite.
Don't forget on Try.
Don't forget on Try. There you go. That's Nate's guy. He's already made the prediction that he's going to be the betting odds favorite to win Emerging Player of the Year.
I don't want to put that on I don't want to put that on him.
But there you go. That was all the awards we've given out. Again, want to hear what you guys have to say. Congratulations to everyone who's won. Congratulations to everyone who was in the running. This was a great minor league. It was so hard to pick these because, again, the quality of cricket was so high that there wasn't a lot of room to kind of miss out on anybody.
Yeah, it was difficult. All the awards were hard. We've said some of them were harder than others, but all of them were difficult.
100%. There's one more award. It's not a minor league award. It's not a player award. But I want to shout out Dave Agnew and his team down in Grand Prairie. You're talking about 12 games across 4 days. And the pitches were beautiful. They used 2 strips, and they played so good every single day in every condition.
And we expected it going in. We knew, honestly, walking out on the square, it felt like you're walking across a ballroom floor. That's how firm and flat that it was. The ball was racing through. It was they were tremendous wickets. And this crew, they're as good as any, I swear. And the umpires were terrific.
Umpiring was terrific as well. Brian Cain was down there. Owen Brown, OB, fantastic. Everything that they did. And that's our minor league talk for the year, Nate. How does that feel?
Are we already done?
I think that's minor league.
We're done.
There you go. Well, we're not done yet. We're going to talk about a little USA cricket here.
We got a couple announcements.
We got a couple of things we want to talk about. The USA women have announced their ODI series against Zimbabwe, and they announced their schedule. First off, before we get to the schedule, the new captain, Aditi Bachudasma, congratulations, the captain of the USA women's ODI side, Anika Kolan, the vice captain, but a huge shout-out to Sindhushi Harsha, who captained this side for so long and is a big part of why all these women that are now part of the team are where they are. She's taken USA cricket 3, 4 steps, 10 steps forward.
Yeah, she's been a guest on the Big Innings podcast that we do.
Yeah.
And she's always great to talk to. She's always she's very friendly. She's ready to help out. She wants to spread the game of cricket across the USA. She wants more women playing the game. How often do you get a captain that lasts 6-7 years in your squad? We're incredibly lucky to have her. I think in the future she'll be a coach.
Yeah, I think 100%. I don't think there's any doubt.
An international coach.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. And I think she could be one of the next USA coaches, to be honest with you, at some point in time, because she has such a connection, and I'm sure she'll be around the team for a lot of years to come. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to Aditi Bhattacharya. Big shoes to fill, but I think she's going to fill them quite well. She's a talented young kid, and all of them. There's a very young team that they've gone with, and very excited for what they do in Zimbabwe.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to see it, and it's going to be coinciding with something else.
Yeah, it's coincided with the USA T20s. The first ODI is on the same day as the first T20, the 17th of October, so we'll have to be flipping our channels there. And that USA Nepal series is going to be fantastic. We also have the USA Nepal Scotland ODI series, but Nepal and Scotland are warming up in Grand Prairie, and we kind of got the inside scoop from Dave Agnew here. Sorry if we got you in trouble, Dave. But
I was going to say you should have dropped his name.
Shouldn't have dropped his name. But he's told us something here. There's a USA A team set to warm up with Nepal and Scotland.
And I haven't picked it yet. They haven't announced it yet anyways.
Yes. We don't know if they've picked it, but they definitely have it announced.
We got our ideas. Everyone has their opinions. But the fact that there's a USA team playing warm-ups against international sides should excite every one of us. It should excite everyone who plays in minor league cricket. And I can't wait to see how our USA team stacks up against these international squads.
USAA I don't think I would have thought I would have seen the day. But here's this for everyone out there. Next week, Nate and I, who have not discussed this at all, we haven't talked about who we would think would be on the USAA team. We're going to come together with our own USAA 11s. We're going to compare, and we want you guys to vote on who has the best team. All right, I'm going to throw this out there. Last time we sat Dane Pete down the middle of us and gave him our 11s, he liked my 11 better. That was San Francisco Unicorns.
That's true. That's true.
So I have the advantage right now head to head. But that could all change next week. You never know.
Yeah, you do.
You were talking a lot of smack before that too, Nate.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I was humbled a little bit. A little bit. I was humbled. But that's okay. I learned.
Okay.
Well, we have to have a growth mindset.
There you go. Growth mindset indeed. We also, next week, we want to announce an emerging minor league 11.
Yeah.
And we want to do a minor league 11 for each division.
Each division at 12. We're going to do
12. We're going to include a 12th man, maybe with the
Make
emerging players.
Yes.
Again, the talent is so far closer to the top level than the bottom level. It's so hard to not include a 12th. We might go down to a 13th if we have to.
We might have. That's how many good cricketers there are.
It's been so good. Nate, one final time for this minor league season. What do you have to say to this audience?
Oh, I think thank you for joining in. Leave your comments, please. We're not going live. This is live to tape, basically. So leave your comments. Let us know who you think should be in the USAA squad. As more comments we get, the better. Subscribe, obviously. But thank you for joining us. Those of you who join us week in and week out, and those of you who are new, stay tuned. We want to do more weekly live shows. We love doing. It's our favorite thing to do.
100%. 100%. Guys, like he said, thank you so much. If you guys want to keep investing in us, we are way open to opportunities or sponsorships or collaborations and things like that. So please feel free to reach out. You can reach out to Nate's social media or my social media as well.
And speaking of social media, let's talk about, for a brief minute here, let's give a shout out to some of the accounts that we really like.
Yes, we have to do this. 1709 Cricket. Unbelievable. Z, you do an amazing job. The highlights that you post, obviously it's called cricket. They do a phenomenal job with their infographics. They're great. What else you got for me?
Oh, Rogers Viewfinder.
Rogers Viewfinder is fantastic. Karthik, we actually met Karthik down in Dallas. That was awesome. Karthik, great to see you again. No, guys, we love collaborating with you. Dunay, I know you're going to be watching this as well. There's so many people out here that tune in, and we're so happy to have all of you guys involved, and we want to keep doing this. We want to do this every single week of the year. If we can do that, I think me and you would be happy, and we hope you guys would enjoy that. But for one final time in minor league, enjoy this one clip, and we'll see you next time.
It's a great feeling, to be honest. Like last year on the winning side, and this year again, like we were unbeaten all the tournament, and especially this one feel really special because Kingsman is like a family. I've been with them like from last 3-4 years, and it took us like almost 3 years to get us there to build that team. So I'm really proud of it.
I just dedicate all my innings to my daughter. She born on 23rd of April, and like from that I was a little bit serious through my innings as well, and I just tried to spend some good time on the wicket and just wait for the bad balls. And
well, that wraps up the 2024 minor league cricket season, and what a season it was. What an end. Those Super 8s were incredible. Everything to play for on the last day of it, and then that final. I mean, the best final we've seen
in a little bit here, where the Chicago Kingsmen narrowly edged out the East Bay Blazers to become perfect to end 2024.